Hi guys, Josh here, welcome to Frames Per Second. Today we're doing a little photo shoot with Sophie. And I'm doing a little vintage shoot that I kind of did last year, but we're kind of redoing it just because I lost the footage and because I had some new things I wanted to try out. So we're shooting Cinestill 800 and we're pushing it 2 stops, and so we're gonna make cool vintage shots with the bridge. Okay, like I said, this was kind of a redo of a shoot I did back in 2018, and so these are images from that shoot, but I only shot half this roll at these locations and with this outfit, but at the end of the day I kind of wish I had shot the whole roll with this outfit and location. So this footage you're seeing now is from 2019 when we redid the shoot a year later. These images are still from the old shoot, which I really like. The reason I kind of wanted to redo it was because half the shots were kind of out of focus because I was shooting at 1.4 at night. But one thing I did kind of notice redoing this shoot was that the lights at the locations were a lot brighter in 2018 than they were in 2019. And so that's something we're going to kind of talk about. But we're also going to talk about how this video, which was originally going to be about a photo shoot pushing Cinestill, actually kind of turned into a reason why you shouldn't shoot your Cinestill if it's expired. As you can see here, there's a bit of remjet on the nose that kind of made that weird thing. And so, as you can see in these images, it's actually quite hazy, particularly on the top and bottom sides of the negative. Like here you can see it specifically at the top and the bottom of the image. That's one thing I noticed with this shoot, was just how much more hazier and grainier it was compared to the previous year's shoot. And one thing I do remember is that the roll I shot with was expired. It did amount for that kind of weird haze, and also for the grain, which is much more pronounced. And part of that is because I did push the film. The original shoot was not pushed. It was shot at 800 with the same lens, same camera, but the main difference was I didn't push it. And this shoot, which I did push, I actually shot at f2 at the lowest because I did want to make sure I didn't get things out of focus as much. But unfortunately, that did come at the cost of not enough light, even though I did push it twice. But that's another thing that we need to talk about, and that's pushing is not just to solve when you don't have enough light. Really, all that pushing does is that it brightens the highlights and even the mids, but it doesn't help with recovering any shadow detail because there is no shadow detail to recover. And that's one thing a lot of people have misconceptions about in regards to pushing, pulling, overexposing, underexposing. And so I thought this was kind of a good shoot to learn from. And after getting the images back, I kind of thought this would be a good shoot to kind of learn from, and also a good reminder that Cinestill is cinema film. And cinema film has a much shorter lifespan than stills film. And I myself know this because I've shot 2 short films with expired cinema film, and there are obvious similarities to what happened with the shoot, particularly with the hazing and the increased grain. I can't say if the expired Cinestill accounted for the color, because the color is much different than the previous shoot, but that could also be from the scans. As you can see here, I totally forgot to focus this shot, but here you can particularly see the hazing on that side of the image. And so this video, as much as I do like a lot of the shots I did get, and as much as I have been able to get usable images from editing it, if I had shot on fresh Cinestill, this would have looked so much better. I am kind of disappointed, but I can still use a lot of the images, and at least I still have the first shoot, which still had some really great shots. And here I am shooting on 120, which obviously the lens I have was only 2.8, so I lost even more light, more detail, but I am getting my hands on the Mamiya 605 80mm 1.9, so I am really excited to get that so I can actually shoot some portraits and street in 120 at night and not have to waste basically rolls with pretty unusable images, to be honest, even though there are stuff I still kind of like about them. While it can look moody, unfortunately it's not good enough for my standard of what makes a good portrait. Check your expiry date on your Cinestill and try to shoot it as soon as possible as if it is expiring soon. And if it has expired, maybe you got lucky and maybe you cold stored it, so maybe it's not gonna expire as fast, but really you need to freeze the film if you're gonna save it for a couple years down the road. As far as cinema film goes, that's the best way to store it. Keeping it cold in just the fridge isn't gonna work as well. And the thing was, I got this roll secondhand, and so it might have just been left out in the heat, so who really knows. But the 120 stuff was fresh, and unfortunately, yeah, just the lighting conditions at these locations just diminished compared to the previous year. And so maybe when I did the first version of this shoot, maybe they had just changed the bulbs and they were just much brighter, or maybe there just wasn't enough light in the locations. And so I'm guessing, yeah, the bulbs weren't changed anytime between the year, so there was significantly less light at this location, unfortunately, which did end up hurting the shoot, even though, like you can see here, still usable. But yeah, I'm not the happiest with the results, even though the compositions of posing is fine and the bokeh is nice. It would have been nice just to get more out of it, get more detail. And unfortunately, it was just a lot grainier, part of that from the pushing, and I think part of that just from the expiration as well. Because I have pushed Cinestill 2 stops before, go check out that video when I was in Tokyo, and it did not turn out anywhere near as grainy as this, nor did it turn out hazy like this. And a lot of that is just because of the expiration. So make sure you shoot your Cinestill as soon as possible, and remember that pushing isn't gonna help get detail back. It's only gonna brighten the highlights and the mids and not do much for the shadows. But I hope you like the images nonetheless. And feel free to like and subscribe, turn those post notifications so you know when there's a new episode. But anyway, get out there, shoot some film.